Hi, everybody. Once again, awkwardly, as you can probably tell, I'm in my office, even though right now filming this, even though at this moment I'm probably in the air to London. First of all, I want to remind you that there's a new reading schedule that I put up in the slide presentation from last week. So it's a new reading schedule and a slightly different assessment schedule. You probably see that the assessments have shifted on ManageBack. And I just shifted the readings a little bit accordingly. But as you probably already know, this book is pretty easy to read through quickly. So you don't have to worry too much about structuring your reading. I would just go for it and read. It's really important today for you to go through this document that's on the slideshow really carefully and work through it passage by passage, because we're not only just looking at a bunch of passages, but we're looking at the passages in relation to a particular feature in the text. So today, I want you to look at the sheet, make a copy for you and for yourself, and then you can sit with up to 2 other people. So I want groups of 3 or maybe pairs, but not groups of 4. Don't make this too big. And then I want you to read the passage and consider the discussion questions at the end and together come up with a response. I really want you to discuss in class, but please record some sort of response on the Google Doc and share it with me. That way I can look at it here. I can see what direction you're going in with your discussion. I can see what you're thinking about in relation to the book and also in relation to the particular problem that we are considering. What we're thinking about today is, yes, we are looking closely at passages from the beginning of Things Fall Apart. And yes, these are the kinds of skills that you need to develop in order to do a good oral commentary. But I think more importantly right now, we're using these passages as a way of backing up and taking a more critical perspective on the text. So today, in fact, we're thinking about perspectives and point of view. And I want you to consider the role of the narrator. I want you to consider the voice of the narrator and the point of view of the narrator and the possible bias of the narrator, and wonder why he's telling us things, what his attitude is towards things in the novel, he or she, in fact. I want you to think a little bit about the difference between the narrator and the author. We often sit back and read a novel and think of the narrator, especially when it seems to be third-person omniscient. We think of that narrator as the author, but it's not. There's the narrator's voice, and then there's the author up here somewhere. So what is the narrator wanting us to think? Or how is the narrator wanting us to react? How do we react to the narrator's tone of voice? What would the author up here want us to think? How would the author want us to react to the narrator? Or want us to react to the events happening in the text? These are kind of broad decisions or broad topics, issues that I want you to think about as you're reading the passages today. And there'll be some very specific questions that guide you to this kind of thinking. But you'll have to consider everything in the passage, the words being used, the tone of voice, the tone and how it's created, the attitude, how it's created. What we're kind of getting at, and this is an even broader issue, is how a text operates ethically and rhetorically. Like how a text is essentially, even if it's a work of fiction, how a text is essentially offering some sort of argument to us and how it's operating to suggest something to us. So I want you to think about those broad attitudes. I want you to think about looking very closely at a text so that you can think a little bit more critically from a distance. So now you can forget everything that I've said, and the only thing you have to remember is work through the sheet, look at the passages, discuss in a group, write down a response on the Google Doc, and share it with me. On Tuesday, or when do you have class next? On Monday, I'll be creating special videos from the assessment center in Cardiff, so you can look forward to that. Maybe I'll even sing a song or something. All right, have a good class.